In 1998, Frank and Susan began traveling back to their homeland Zimbabwe, and on each trip carried suitcases of goods to hand out to widows and orphans. They started off where the need was greatest, in a densely populated area of Highfields in Harare. On each of their trips they added more suitcases until they were bringing in 14 suitcases per trip. This is when the idea of bringing in a container was birthed. Friends in Canada provided the much-needed support and financing for their trips to Zimbabwe. When the number of orphans continued to increase as a result of deaths caused by AIDS, Susan remained determined to make a difference in the lives of the underprivileged. The Zimbabwe Gecko Society was founded in 2008 by Susan and Frank as a response to the horrendous circumstances facing orphaned and vulnerable children in Zimbabwe. Immediately after Zimbabwe Gecko Society was formed, they started organizing fundraiser dinners, garage sales to raise funds for projects in Zimbabwe. In 2010, EFCCM invited the Zimbabwe Gecko Society to operate as part of their ministry. The Zimbabwe Gecko Society is affiliated to White Rock Baptist Church.
People that are supporting us, they have absolutely no idea what an impact they make in this country.
Program yokusona inondibatsira kuti ndikagona kusona nichatrendawo kunosona mune zvimwewo zvakasiyana siyana ndakutosona machira hembe ndakutengesawo muupenyu wangu ndopezvinenge zvakundibatsira.
One of the first challenges faced by the Zimbabwe Gecko Society in Zimbabwe was to turn an old barn owned by the Church of Nazarene in Norton Saffron Walden area into a church. Zimbabwe Gecko Society succeeded in raising money to build a church which included an early childhood education school for 2 grades. After a fundraiser talk at the Nanus Evangelical Free Church, Linda Stalker, one of the church members, helped to raise over $14,000 needed to send a container to Zimbabwe. With the assistance of the White Rock Baptist Church and Compassionate Warehouse, the first container to Zimbabwe was full and ready. Once packed, a Canadian flag was placed on the back to show it was sent from Canada with love. This marked the beginning of a journey where container after container was sent to Zimbabwe. Each container, starting from the first one to the current ones, are packed with great care for the needs in Zimbabwe, which include school supplies, desks for schools, wheelchairs, walkers and canes for senior citizen and old people's homes, hospital beds, blankets, numerous medical supplies for hospitals and clinics. The containers are all donated by Compassionate Warehouse Containers and Memo, EFCCM Containers from Thunder Bay, Ontario. Once a container arrives in Zimbabwe, goods are sorted and sent to the respective beneficiary organizations, which include churches, hospitals, clinics, schools, old people's homes, orphanages, and rural communities in and around Zimbabwe. Susan and her team decided to turn the first container, which came, into the largest Christian library in Harare. The next 2 containers to go over to Zimbabwe were converted into a very large carpentry center and sewing center, with the space in between becoming a school, a movie theater, training space at Center for Total Transformation.
Well, we started off with the empty container, steel box. We cut in windows. We insulated the outside wall to cut down on the heat transfer, covered the walls with plywood, and built the bench, the workbench, and we installed the plywood on the walls to hang the tools to display.
come here and be able to put it all together in 4 weeks has been quite satisfying. I was born into a Christian family and started working 57 years ago in the building trade, and it has been sometimes difficult, but these projects are very rewarding because we're building the kingdom of God.
CTT Center for Total Transformation started with 7 orphans and grew to over 600 very quickly.
What draws my heart here is the 600 orphans or vulnerable children, all in one place.
When Susan and Frank Giannetti arrived in Zimbabwe in 1998, little did they know that this would be the beginning of a work that would transform thousands of lives in Zimbabwe.
RASPA Skills and Development Center was started in 2018. This was started to empower our community. We know we could a poor community and they are a bit far from the city center.
One of the recent additions is an incubator purchased from the 20% given back from each project at RASPA Skills and Development Center. The goal of this project is to have the community members bring their roadrunner eggs to the center and hatch them. At their homes, many are trampled on, eaten by snakes before hatching. The incubator will bring about more success, thus fulfilling the goal of assisting each community member to raise chickens for protein. The goal of the sewing program is to teach sewing and also to run a profitable business for all to share and be employed.
So these people, mainly they are also from the farming areas and they don't have enough here. So we decided to start this project so that we can empower them, so that they should be able to help themselves. And we teach them skills to make their own things down here, and they can even sell to other places, nearby Norton or Harare or another place.
The tea room built as part of RASPA Church was designed to treat people who may never be invited to a restaurant to be treated to a cake and tea or a meal. The tea room also offers training in cooking and baking, including provision of catering services to the nearby community. The tea room was recently awarded a contract to supply a nearby mine with lunch packs for their miners and office staff. The Zimbabwe Gecko Society has established its influence in Wedza, Chegutu, RASPA Skills and Development Center in Norton, Karanda Hospital and Center for Total Transformation in Harare. Key to Zimbabwe Gecko Society is the establishment of sustainable programs in education, provision of water, health centers, religious centers, food security and accommodation to the most vulnerable. Through its programs, Zimbabwe Gecko Society has also created employment for many community members.
We established quite a number of features. The features include the pig project, poultry project. We also established the carpentry project, the sewing program.
Gecko Society has also been providing resources through a farming method called Farming God's Way, where farmers do not use fertilizers when growing vegetables and crops. The farmers make compost and get manure from there, avoiding fertilizers which contain harmful substances to the body. In the areas of food security, 950 children receive food assistance through feeding programs. 650 at Center for Total Transformation, 250 at RASPA Skills and Development Center and 50 at Hatcliffe Church. When it comes to health centers, Zimbabwe Gecko Society develops and improves capacity so that locals can receive health services in their own communities. The Zimbabwe Gecko Society has built 5 clinics, which include a maternity ward at RASPA Farm. They have also reached out to over 60 clinics and 6 hospitals in Zimbabwe.
Looking at capacity building in the social determinants of health, which Zimbabwe Gecko has been doing. So that'll be clean water, food security, education, economic empowerment, especially of women in the country. And then what we're looking at doing is kind of seeing if we can layer on some of the healthcare components. We have worked at RASPA a few times over the previous years, where we kind of brought teams over here to help train the community health workers. And then when we've left, those people are back here to kind of provide some service kind of for the people. Really, the relationships are super important here. And like any relationship, it takes time to build. So we've been coming over since 2015, I think. We're using a model which has been developed by the WHO called the Partnership Pentagram, which is kind of bringing multiple partners, including policymakers, health administrators, healthcare providers, citizens, the people, academia, so educators and researchers, and we've added a group called Linked Sectors, which is non-industry and non-profits, and bringing those groups together to talk about where is the best value, where is synergy, and then kind of how can we, each of us, contribute in our own way.
Education is one area that has received a significant investment from Zimbabwe Gecko Society. A total of 9 schools have been built in Zimbabwe. These are the Center for Total Transformation School, Raspa School, Hatcliffe School, Sunbird School, Saffron School, Chideza School, Wedza Boys School and 2 other schools in Wedza.
The nearest school is about 10 kilometers from this place. So kids would travel a long distance. So we noticed that we need to help those kids to get a school somewhere nearby, because we have heard complaints whereby kids, when they go that distance, they get to school, they will be tired and they can't concentrate. And they will be tired. So it means those kids will not perform well at school. So that's what we took in mind. And with the help of our friends in Canada there, we decided to establish a school for this community.
Okay. Square. Circle. Square. Wow.
Young people at Raspa Skills and Development Center have been given an opportunity to receive training in computer technology through the establishment of a computer training center.
So let me take you back maybe to just a few years before we had the center. Most of the children had to drop out of school, and they would drop out as early as grade 7. And we even had early child marriages. So because we have that constant contact with them, we are there to remind them that there's more to life than just doing drugs and unprotected sex and even early marriages. So we have been noticing a drastic change, a big change in most of our youth. So our course runs for 6 weeks. We issue a certificate to the youth once they're done. And the main reason why we are having this course is to teach the youth how to operate the computer, the basic functions of the computer, then the basic programs, the basic functions of the word processing tools like Microsoft Office. Now, because we are teaching them computers, now they have knowledge to use more ICT gadgets. They even know how to browse the internet now. They even know how to type. Some of them, they couldn't even read, so we have to go through the whole literacy program also to teach them how to read and write before they can start typing. So these are some of the changes we are seeing in the youth. And attitude-wise, we usually have our talk sessions after computers, so we now have youth that are more responsive maybe to word against drugs, to word against unprotected sexual behaviors or risky sexual behaviors. These are some of the changes we have been seeing in youth, both attitude-wise and mentally also.
To the light, which is Jesus, but it's not us who are the lights. We are not the light. It's not the praise and worship. It's not the pastor. It's not the whoever. It's about Christ.
The past 3 years, the church has grown so miraculously. When we started in 2019, we were around 5 people, and most of the people were ladies. Men were not showing up, but up to now, we are around 70 grown-up people, and around 46 youths, and above 25 the young generation. Growing the church was not easy because people had their own way of living, which they were thinking was the right way. It was like a stronghold in them, and we really had to endure, making sure that we don't give up, going from house to house, visiting the people, and trying to make sure that the word reaches to everyone.
Building churches has helped to bring more and more of the community members to know God in a community where many people placed more value on their ancestors.
I have a very special gift that I have. It's coming from In Touch Ministries. It's a special and unique gift. There you go. There you go. There you go.
Thank you.
And this is mine. You can try it out. Okay. And I forgot. It has a solar also behind, so you will not run out of power. So it has Shona and English messages and the Bible, also audio Bible. Nice.
Give praise to the Lord, proclaim his name, make known among the nations what he has done. Hallelujah.
Raspa Church youths received some gifts from Susan's daughter Tina and grandchildren. They were assisted by the youth of Wellington.
But these presents are from my daughter and my grandchildren. My grandchildren are 16 and 20 years old, and my daughter's 48. But my daughter and my grandchildren made these for you.
The Zimbabwe Gecko Society has also given away accommodation to people who were extremely poor and had nowhere to live.
This afternoon we have Daniel that we are introducing to his new home. Daniel, you've got a beautiful bed, blankets, sheets, beautiful quilted, nice and clean, towels, more sheets, special blanket, mosquito netting, knives and forks and pots and pans and dishes and Vaseline. So Gogo has come here today. We're presenting her with this one-room house, but she'll be well looked after. She's 92 years old. Her family have left her, and she's been struggling. But the community have been looking after her, but she's got a little mud hut with a lot of mud on the floor because the roof leaks. So I'm coming to give Gogo. We have a nice bed. Hey? We've got socks, we've got blankets, all donated by Canada. An extra blanket, towels. Can you see here? We've got towels, pillows. All right. Come around this side. You've got dishes, knives and forks, spoons. Can you see? Toothpaste, cloth. Yeah. And some more sheets, blankets, some clothes, some dresses.
Zimbabwe Gecko Society would like to thank their sponsors for the individual homes of the beneficiaries. Sponsors who have made it possible for the children to have an education. Sponsors who have provided medicines and equipment for the hospitals, clothes, Bibles, recorders, computers, welding and carpentry equipment, sewing machines and accessories amongst many other goods. All the doctors and nurses who have traveled from Canada to work in Zimbabwe in hospitals and clinics.